Hi there, in this tutorial we're going to make this, where pie charts kind of spin around and pop out a little bit. Pop. Alright, now let's go and learn how to do this in After Effects. Okay, so pie chart making. Now we don't need Illustrator for this one, which is cool. So we're going to make a new project. I've gone File, New Project, and in here I'm going to go to New Composition. HDTV 1080p 25, all the same, 5 seconds long, background color, doesn't matter, and I'm going to click OK. Should have actually named it. I'm going to rename this one. It's going to be called my pie chart 1. We're going to look at some other things later on when we get into masking. So we'll append it with 1. First thing we want to do is put a background in, layer. Okay, if nothing's opening, double click it. Okay, make sure you go layer, new, solid, pick a background color. Eyedropper tool, I'm going to pick the kind of gray color. I'm going to rename this one background. I'm going to lock it. Awesome. Now for this one, we're dealing with the data from here. Okay, it's the device type for our my website, bringyourownlaptop.com. 80% of people are using it on a computer, and 14 on a mobile phone, and 6% on a tablet. Okay, obviously our data for a pie chart needs to all equal up to 100. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is put in our base slice. It's going to be the kind of bottom background main chunk, and that's going to represent, in our case, the 80%. So let's go and do that. Now I could grab the ellipse tool up here, okay, and draw it. The problem is the effect that we're going to use requires this anchor point to be in the center, and it's a little hard to do with circles. What we're going to do is, notice when I do draw a circle, it actually creates a shape layer and puts an ellipse inside of it. So what we're going to do is, I've just deleted that. I'm going to create manually a shape layer. So layer, new shape layer. And it's actually nothing yet, but if I twirl it down and I can say, I'd like to add an ellipse. Okay, it's kind of like exactly what we just did by drawing it, but at least it's directly in the center now. The other thing we need to add is this ellipse has no fill, no stroke. I'm going to add a fill. You can add a stroke as well, gradient fill, gradient stroke. I'm just going to have a fill at the moment. Twirl it down. What color is it going to be? I'm going to pick my light red here. How big is it going to be? Where it says ellipse path, open that up, do size. This is totally up to you how big you want this thing to be. You can't move it on the screen yet. We can do that later on, but at the moment, don't move it. It needs to be directly in the center. Cool, so that's going to be my base size. I'm going to rename this layer. I'm going to call this one desktop. And that's the bottom part done. What I'm going to do is twirl it up, select it, copy, paste it, right click this one, and this is my next set, which is mobile. And the first thing we're going to do is change the color. So open up mobile, go to contents, open up fill, grab the eyedropper, pick another color. Okay, I'll pick this lighter one actually. Close it back up. And all that's happening at the moment is this one over the top. Okay, leave it in the center. We're going to add an effect. So effects and presets, and type in clock wipe. Okay, click, hold, and drag it onto it, and kind of just disappears. What we can do is see this transition completion. Make sure your playhead is back at the beginning here. Okay, and watch this. If I drag it down, hey, left and right. Okay, that is what we're going to be animating. It's pretty easy to do. The keyframe's actually started already, so I want to start it at 0 or 100%, so it's completely finished. It's a bit weird, I know. And then after some time, now because I had my playhead somewhere different when I first applied this effect, you might not have this problem, is if I hit U, there's this random keyframe over here. That's just a byproduct. This effect comes with the keyframing ready to go. So wherever your CTI is, it starts our first keyframe. So we're going to delete that. So beginning here, I've got it set to 100. I've got no other keyframes. How did I get this up? Remember, with it selected, I can click U. Okay, and it'll pop up any keyframes that have been made. After some time, I'm not sure how long time, I'm going to set the transition. You can do it up here or up here. Okay, and I'm going to work out this is my mobile one, so this needs to be 14%. The easiest way to do it is do 100 minus your percentage, okay, which is 14, and click enter. It gives you the right amount. Using this effect, it's not meant to be used for pie charts. We're just kind of like using and abusing it. But that is our 14%. Okay, so it's going to do that. Nice. Okay, before I move on to the next slice, I'm just going to spice this up. We're using that expression. We've used loads in this tutorial already. Okay, so it is here. It's in my exercise files under expression, and I'm going to delete all that, add that, just so it gives a little bounce. Whoop. Okay, and then play around with the timing to make it look whoop. Nice. Okay, now it's time for the next slice, and all I'm going to do is select mobile, copy and paste it. So I'm using Command C and Command V. If you're on a PC, it's Control C, Control V, rename this one, and this is tablet. Okay, and what I want to do is a couple of things. Is I want to change the color of it. So I'm going to move this along so I can see it. Okay, so go to contents, go to fill, pick the eyedropper. I'm going to pick another color. Now it's right on top of the mobile, happening at the exact same time. So the first thing we need to do is change, because we want to kind of pop down here, so on that first example. So it's considered the start angle. Watch this, if I click it and drag it, I could drag it and manually line it up, and that would kind of work, okay? I find the easiest way is to go 360 divided by 100 times whatever this one was, which was 14. Okay, that's going to give me the exact like movement around. Okay, I'm terrible at maths, but somehow those sorts of things stick with me. Anyway, so all we want to do now is it's playing. Okay, so this one is at the wrong percentage. So check Excel. This one's meant to be 6%. Okay, so what I need to do is go into transition completion. Now I need to make sure my keyframe is at the end of this animation. So tablet selected, click U, have my playhead just above it, okay, holding shift while I'm dragging to snap to the top. Instead of 86, remember our little trick, 100 minus, I can't even remember now, I think it was 6, okay, it gives me 94, was it 6? Yeah, cool, so that's gonna give me my little slice here. Let's go have a look. Whoop. Now the timing, okay, I'm gonna twirl that up. I'm just gonna move my timing so that, whoop, maybe a little bit more. Maybe just a little bit more, so when it stops bouncing, this one comes out. Nice. Okay, so when it's all finished, I'll probably need to add some labels, but at the moment, that chunk there is what's left over. So 14 plus 6 leaves me my 80%. So that's desktop, that's mobile, that's tablet. What I want to do is actually probably this base. It's a bit boring at the moment, doesn't do anything, just kind of there. So what I'd like to do is animate that as well. So what I might do is just move these guys along. Okay, go back to here, and I'm going to add the exact same thing. So I'm going to grab clock wipe, add it to desktop. I am going to start it at 0. Great. My playhead was already at the beginning. Remember, click U to see where the keyframes are. Okay, and there's mine out there. It's already applied them all. So I'm going to get rid of U. Okay, and how far along? So it starts here and maybe about that far. And I'm going to get it to go all the way around to 0. Okay, before these other ones start. So all the way around, that one. Maybe a bit further apart. Actually, I'm going to add the easing first. Now, I don't want this one to bounce, only because I practiced and it looked a bit weird with the base bouncing back and forth, kind of opens back up like Pac-Man. So all I'm going to do is select both of these and go keyframe velocity and use my old trick. Okay, and now, okay, why do I add sound effects? I bet you will too. Awesome. Okay, so we've got our basic pie chart, and the cool thing about it is it's very reusable. We can use these slices, okay, and just go through it and change the percentages and the start angles for every next month or whatever. You might have 50 of these things to make. It shouldn't take you too long. But we're going to add a little bit of extra dimension. Okay, what I'd like to do is I like one of these slices to pop out. Okay, and maybe that's the, the most important one. Or we can pop them out at different times and kind of explain what they are. So I'm going to get this one to pop out. Okay, this last slice for tablet. And to do it, I'm going to get my playhead down for it stops bouncing, okay, about there, and I'm just going to play with size. So I'm going to have tablet selected, click S. I'm going to start the stopwatch for scale, size. Okay, it's going to do the same thing. And a bit further along, I'm going to get it to pop out. Cool, so it's going to come along and then that's going to come out. Now the only trouble is I can't use my expression on this one. There's just too many things going on. There's 2 keyframes, but there's also some effects going on and my expression just doesn't work on this one. So we're going to have to do it old school. But luckily we know how to do it old school, right? Okay, so I'm going to first add some easing. Select both these guys. I'm going to do velocity at 75. I'm just tabbing across those to make it quicker. Okay, so it looks nicer, but I want it to go kind of like this bit here. I want it to go, say it's going to be 125. That's going to be its finished kind of like jumping out spot. So what I'd like it to do actually is to go past that a little bit to 130, okay, and then come back below 125, 122. I'm just guessing here. Might look horrible. Okay, and then eventually rest back at 125. You could put more and more in these. okay, to get it to go really slick and smooth. Let's give it a test. It's not bad. Let's zoom in. We're quite far out. Should have said we zoomed out this whole tutorial. Okay, yeah, not as nice, okay, but you can play around with the timing of these. The last thing is you might do is we're going to make it like a donut shape, and I am embarrassed to show you the method for turning it into like that donut unit, like from the beginning. All we're going to do is grab the desktop, copy and paste it. Okay, we're going to call this one the center. Okay, and you're probably going to guess what we're going to do. With the center selected, I'm going to get rid of the radial wipe because I don't want it radial wiping in. Now all the center is just a copy of it. Okay, I'm just going to change the color of it and move it to the top. So let's go, actually let's stick it to the top now so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And yeah, it's pretty cheap tricks. Let's go to you, pick the background color, and let's go into ellipse path, the size, and how big do you want your donut? I know, cheap. Okay, but it works. Looks like a donut, just a little cool pop out thing. Okay, if you want, say you've got a colored an image background, and so this is not going to work, we will address this a little bit later in the course when we look at masks. Okay, but for the moment, most of the time, especially for this vector stuff, big circle in the center, pops out, looks awesome. What you should do now is go through and just add some type. Obviously the percentages, we'll do a percentage counter in the next video so it kind of creeps up at the right dimensions, but you want to add some labels and stuff to it. Now, last thing we're going to do before we go is that to move this thing is a bit weird. You're like, oh great, I'm just going to grab all of these guys and I'm just going to move it over. Oh, that wipe effect, it's actually a transition effect, so it does it to the whole scene. You can fix that by pre-composing it. It's pretty easy. So I've got all these selected, right click it, pre-compose, puts it into its own little comp. I'm going to call mine pie chart. Actually, what did we call the first thing? We don't want another one called pie chart. We're going to call this one donut. Okay, and back to my project files here. And so pie chart 1, and this is the little donut that goes inside of it. Cool. Now what happens is it's just all grouped inside that comp. Okay, now we can move it around as we need to. Okay, and that wipe effect kind of stays with it. So we can kind of animate it on, slide it on as well. You might go slide it on, make it look cool. All right, that's going to be the end of this pie chart one. We're going to look at adding some counting numbers in the next bit. Also later in the course, if you're a pie charts fan, okay, we're going to do some cool masking stuff with pie charts. So check that out as well. All right, let's move on.